Hi guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the new SilverStone Raven 4, or as it's commonly known, RV04. Now this has been in the works for quite some time now. Over the past couple of years you may well have seen it at CES, at Computex, in those early development stages. But this is the final version, so this is the one that's going to hit the retail market very soon. Now with this new installment we've got a new external design which brings in a new front door, and behind that front door we have dust filter, fan controller and those dual air penetrator 180mm fans. Now the significant feature that stands out with this case with RV04 is the inverted motherboard tray, and with that the hardware is on the reverse side and it's also upside down, so the power supply is at the top of the case. Now in terms of pricing, if you're in the UK you're going to expect this for around £135, and then in the United States around £190. So we've got a lot to get through today with the numerous features that are inside RV04. So we'll get started now and I hope you enjoy the review, guys. Right guys, so to start things off we'll take a look at the front of the case and we'll start with the front door. As you can see, this is plastic and we've got the Raven logo there at the top. In 4 different stages there we've got this plastic fascia, and really, you know, to start things off, it's not a great thing to start on a negative, but I don't like this front door. For the simple reason it's very bulky, it's plastic, and it's actually quite flimsy, as you can see. Without too much manipulation it does warp and it bends. Also the hinges on the inside there are plastic, and they don't seem to be as robust as some of the solutions that you can find on the market at the moment. The other thing is, when you are opening and closing this door, if you've got too much pressure on the outside, which you will open it from this side, it can touch the floor like this and stop it from opening and closing. So you can see it catches. So anyway, with that aside, we've got the 2 5¼ bays at the top there. Those covers are removable from the outside of the case. You can just squeeze them and remove them. 2 fan controllers below that, which are controlling these 2 fan air penetrators below. These are a 3-state switch, so we've got low, medium and high. So that's 600, 900 and 1200 RPM. And below that we have this dust filter. So this is incorporated inside a plastic fascia, and this incorporates SilverStone's high flow technology. So this is going to help with the pressure and also the noise levels too. So you can obviously take that out and clean it. With those fans being intakes, there's a tendency there for dust build-up, so yeah, you will be able to take that out and give it a bit of a clean. So here we've got the air penetrators. These are 180mm, so this is rather substantial. Very generous of SilverStone to include these, as we've got on your typical case, you're lucky to get 140mm, usually traditional sort of thing, 120s. So to have 180s here is a great thing. And these are really the primary source for bringing airflow inside the case and pushing it across the system in a positive fashion. Now the front panel connectivity on RV04 is split into 2 different sections. For the power and reset button, we've got this integrated into the front panel there. That is just a fascia cover. The actual button is underneath, so there's the power button. Running along that edge we've got the USB 3 ports, those are via the internal motherboard header, and we've got a headphone and a microphone jack. At the top of the case we have another plastic fascia, and towards the back of this we have the ventilation section, as that's to work in conjunction with the power supply unit. Now the power supply, as you can see here, is mounted at the top. The fan will be facing the upper section of the case, so the air will be able to be drawn in and utilised in that fashion. We've also got a filter which you can take out and clean. That would usually be at the bottom of the case for the power supply, so that just helps to capture any dirt or any dust, and that can obviously be taken out and cleaned. And we can also take this top fascia off. Just need to remove these 2 thumb screws here, and we also need to remove the side panels, as there is a bracket which fixes across, overlaps onto the fascia and stops that from being able to move around. Okay, with those side panels removed, we can then take this top fascia off. So there you can see we've got access to this certain region, and we can mount the power supply. Now this gives us the ability to drop in power supplies which are longer in length than your traditional form factor, which is ATX. This is the ATX form factor, so this is the smallest ATX power supply that you can get. But do bear in mind, with the optical drive installed, you'll need to allow for that clearance too. Coming to the side panels, obviously with this configuration being reversed, so we've got everything on the alternate side. This is now the prominent side panel. You can see here we've got a large perspex window that gives you a nice overview of the system, a nice preview. Perhaps like to show off to your mates, or perhaps take it to a LAN party. Everyone can see your hardware. Now on the reverse, we've got just a solid side panel, and there isn't any significant features. Now to get these side panels off, all you need to do is remove 2 thumb screws, and they just come off really nice and easy. Now you get the idea with these side panels that they are extremely good quality. The steel that they've used and just the thickness of it is extremely good. So I'm very pleased to see that, better than what you would typically find on a standard chassis. So that's very nice. And there you got the ATX system which we've got inside here. So this motherboard is the standard ATX. It does take eATX this case, but we don't have a system configured in this sense. We've only got XL-ATX, which RV04 doesn't take. So that gives you a rough idea, a rough overview of what you can fit inside. And you can see that this is vastly different from your typical configuration. The graphics card's up at the top and the CPU cooler is at the bottom. So everything's flipped. So here we have a view behind the motherboard tray, and as you can see, cable management is extremely good inside RV04. Very easy to maintain good cable management practice. We've got various cutouts, we've got various places that we can tie things back, and you can see that that is very clean and very tidy. Okay, we're now going to move in for a closer look at the various aspects of RV04. We've already taken a look at the power supply unit from that top section, and we now come to the PCI expansion slot covers. So we've got a total of 8 here for multi-GPU configurations, and each of the covers has the ventilation for better airflow inside the case. And we've also got some more ventilation for additional airflow. Now these covers have a standard screw, we don't have a thumb screw, which is rather a disappointment for a case of this calibre. Thumb screws nowadays are regarded as a prerequisite. We found them in budget cases, mid-range and top-end cases. And below this we have a perforated mesh section which allows you to drop in a 120mm cooling fan. So if you've got an all-in-one liquid cooler which has a 120mm radiator, or perhaps even an exhaust fan that you want to drop in there, then that will fit there perfectly. SilverStone don't include such a fan because the intakes at the front provide a great solution in terms of the thermal performance. We've already tested this in our full review on Vortez.net, and that really is testament to how successful that airflow is. Next up, we've got the hard drive storage, and we've got an assortment of different options available for you here. First of all, we've got this large cage which can take up to 5 different 3.5-inch drives, so those take the screws from the sides. But the interesting thing that I really want to show you is at the bottom of the case here. So we've got 2 single cages which will take one 3.5-inch drive, or you can drop in 2 SSDs at the bottom, so that's 2 2.5-inch drives. Now to get this out, all you need to do is pull this strap. You can see here I've got the 3.5-inch drive already installed, and there is nothing on that drive. You can see there's no brackets, there's no mounting devices at all, so that's just on its own. Now you just got to make sure that that strap is pulled out like that, and you just slide the drive back into the cage, and the latch goes over the drive and fixes it in place. So you can see there, that is a nice solution, keeps it nice and firm, and also, you know, it's just really easy to get that out and fix it back in place. Really like what SilverStone have done with this, and it's a feature which I really think stands out, and it will be nice to see this on other cases. Up at the top of the case, as we've previously shown, there is space there for mounting 2 5.25-inch devices, such as an optical drive. All you need to do is drop in screws from the side. Now there are some features which come additional to RV04 and which come in extremely useful. The first of these is a graphics card support. As you know, graphics cards nowadays are getting a lot larger in size, and with this, weight can be quite a concern. So this handy support helps to reduce strain. This support is variable in its horizontal adjustment, so different sized cards can be catered for. And there are various points for the support to sit at, so that caters for different slots used on the motherboard. And we can also drop in another support for multi-card configurations. There is also a CPU cooler support mechanism to help alleviate strain from the motherboard. This again is variable, so it can be moved from left to right in a horizontal fashion. Now in terms of clearance for the system components, for the CPU cooler we've got a massive 165mm on the total height for the CPU cooler. Here we've got the Noctua NH-U12P, which is 158mm. So with that 165, that means that you can house the Noctua NH-D14, Thermalright Silver Arrow and Alpenphone K2. For the graphics card clearance, here we've got the XFX 7970 DD version. This is 10.5 inches in length, and you can house inside here up to 13 inches. So that's basically covering anything that's currently on the market. Now in terms of the water cooling support, we obviously have that rear exhaust spot at the back, which can house a 120mm radiator. But at the front, you can take out those air penetrators, those 180mm fans, and you can house a 360mm radiator. So to do that, you're going to need to remove the hard drive cage, and also think about it, you're going to have to take out those fans, which are the only real source for the airflow inside the case. So as a result of that, system components are going to really be affected by that. So really, RV04 is not designed to house water cooling radiators. Now the clearance behind the motherboard tray is approximately 2.5 centimeters, so that gives more than sufficient enough space for good cable management practice. Do apologise for the ruler being upside down. It doesn't have any measurements on the other side, and obviously with this being the reverse to a standard case, we can't get the ruler in the right position. Okay, as a final clip, we're just going to see how loud those air penetrators are inside RV04. So we're going to power the system up. I'm going to use the low setting on the fan controller to start with, so that's around 600 RPM for those fans. And then I'm going to switch right up to the high setting, which will give 1200 RPM. So I'll power the system up, get my mic as close to these as possible. And then I'll switch up to high setting. So this is 1200 RPM. Okay, so that should have given you a rough idea of what to expect from the low setting and the high setting on the fan controller. There is a big difference between the high setting it's actually quite loud when you've got the case open like this, with the front door open and the side panels detached from the case as we have here. But they do push a lot of air. You can really feel the force of those fans. So you could probably get away with, if you're wanting to keep the noise levels down, you can keep with low or medium. Well guys, that concludes our look at the Raven 4, and this is definitely a unique case. You know, it really challenges the way that we look at computer case design. The things that really stand out for me with this case are the GPU and the CPU supports. I'm actually quite surprised that we don't see them more commonly integrated on various cases currently on the market. Now, paramount to Raven 4's success and its design are those air penetrators at the front there. They push a lot of air, and if you go over to Vortez.net and check out the thermal performance tests, that really just prove, and it is testament to how successful and how effective those cooling fans are in driving airflow across the system components. Now, there is a particular feature which I didn't go into in the review, and that's the removable motherboard tray. So you can actually take out the motherboard tray and you can build the system independent of the computer chassis. So that might be a particular feature that some of you enthusiasts might like. Now, whilst there are many features inside here which give it a positive outlook, there are a few drawbacks with this case, and I've been in talks with SilverStone HQ over the past couple of days, as I don't really think that it warrants the £135 price tag because of the certain qualities with this, in particular that front door. I just think that it is rather flimsy, and the price should be a little bit lower than it is. You know, that's my opinion. I don't know what you guys think as you've looked at this video. Perhaps you've managed to get hold of one of these cases, so do let me know what you think in the comments below. So guys, that, as I say, concludes our look at the Raven 4. Thanks for watching. If you have got any comments, questions, then just drop them in the box below. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I will see you soon.